Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Stretford Paddock. I am Adam McCullough, bringing you your daily Manchester United news, and we have got plenty to get stuck into today. There are reports that Manchester United have an agreement in principle with Benjamin Pavard over a transfer to Manchester United from Bayern Munich, but that our first bid has been rejected, despite the fact talks are ongoing. We'll be getting stuck into all the latest reports on that and everything else revolving Manchester United in this video. Man United in action as well tomorrow. Cannot wait for that. Obviously, we've been sitting back watching everybody else play Chelsea against Liverpool this afternoon as well. We'll be live on the club, by the way, if you want to join us over there. But Manchester United against Wolves tomorrow night at Old Trafford. I cannot wait for the season to get underway. Obviously, Wolves coming into it with a little bit of upheaval at the club at the moment. Change managers, a lot of players have left, but you can't count anything out on the opening day of the season. And Manchester United have to be at it. If we're at it, we should be getting 3 points and hopefully a lovely evening at Old Trafford. But as I say, when the real action begins and when the real action starts, you have to be ready to go. Fingers crossed we are. But let's get stuck into some of this news. In fact, before we do that, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button right here as well. We recently, about probably not too long ago now, hit 700,000 subscribers. We want to hit 750,000 ASAP, and we can only do that with your help. So get hitting that subscribe button. Right, we heard from Florian Plettenberg that Manchester United are pushing for Benjamin Pavard and have submitted a first official offer to Bayern Munich. The offer was rejected, but Pavard's still very open to joining Manchester United, and there's a verbal agreement in principle. That means that Manchester United have agreed with his agents or with him directly that what his wages and the contract offer would look like. We've seen this in the past with other players that Manchester United have signed and other clubs have signed now. Usually that will be called tapping up, but very rarely does it get called out upon in football these days. There seems to be always talks between clubs and intermediaries, and they kind of suss out, is it worth us making a bid? Because the situation you don't want to end up in is a situation Liverpool were in with Moises Caicedo, where they make a British transfer record bid for the player. The bid's accepted, but the player has his eyes on a move elsewhere, and therefore it's very difficult to get the move over the line, even though you've accepted the fee, you had a fee accepted. And that's what a lot of clubs seem to do. And it seems that through his agency, through Manchester United speaking with them, we've obviously found an agreement in principle over a contract. We now have to get a deal sorted for with Bayern Munich, which is proving a little bit more difficult to do at this moment in time. But the talks are ongoing, and we do hear a lot of talks linking Benjamin Pavard with a move to Manchester United. He'd obviously be that replacement for Harry Maguire in the team, who's still finalising his departure from Manchester United to West Ham. There was talk about him potentially opting to stay. I think that's sailed. That ship's sailed now. Surely he can't be thinking about staying at Manchester United. There's not a chance he stays at Manchester United. And if he is, then, he's an idiot, to be totally honest with you. You have to go and play football. The manager's made it clear you're not in his plans. And yeah, you may as well go and play football elsewhere. Christian Falk was also reporting on the bid being rejected by Bayern Munich. Now, they bought him for around 35 million euros. He's got 1 year left on his deal, so be interesting to see how much they can get for him. But there has been talk about potentially a deal being worth around £30 million, which, considering his contract situation and the amount they bought him for, is probably a fair deal. There's been some talk as well, which I didn't like to see, that Man United want to sell Spanish fullback Alvaro Fernandez amid interest in Germany. Now, I'd understand if there's a buyback in there or a percentage of the profits being off his next transfer or whatever. But this kid looks pretty decent. He had a good loan move out there at Preston. Decent pre-season for Manchester United. We've got injury issues with Terrell Malacia. We've got Luke Shaw at left back, who's our long-term left back Shaw. But Alvaro Fernandez seems like a player that could challenge for that position. So it would be, obviously, it's just rumours, and who knows if it's true or not, but it would be disappointing to see that being the case. But as we said, at the moment, the only thing that looking really close is Benjamin Pavard to Man United, Harry Maguire to West Ham. Apparently Ajax are weighing up a move as well to bring Donny van der Beek back to Ajax and back to Amsterdam this month. It'd be interesting to see. It'd probably be a good move for him, to be honest. He was always settled there. He knows all about the club, all about the city, obviously. and he'd be one of their best players, and you'd hope he'd get back into the team and probably find himself again. But it's been disappointing to see him at Man United, and you got to think, like, if you can't cut it at Manchester United under Erik ten Hag, then when will he cut it at Manchester United? And look, he's had some horrible injuries. And you don't want to wish that upon anybody. But once that happens, you start to fall behind players in the pecking order. We brought in Mason Mount, who plays in his positions as well. Mason Mount will be ahead of him in the pecking order. Bruno Fernandes. You've got some younger players that the managers like Kobbie Mainoo is bringing into the midfield now as well. Every time that happens, you're falling behind players in the pecking order. He'll be on decent wages. You'll be able to recoup some decent funds for him. So Manchester United would be within their interests, I think, to probably cash in. And it probably does mean Scott McTominay stays, which, if you're looking at the two of them, just given purely being available, Scott McTominay is probably the one you want to keep, because Donny hasn't been that available over the time. As much as, you look at the ability or the potential ability of Donny van de Beek, he just hasn't shown it for Manchester United. So it does make sense. Of course, it would be disappointing to see that happen. Remember, around the time we signed him, we were being linked with Jack Grealish. I wanted Jack Grealish to come to Manchester United so bad. Then Villa stayed up and the price for Jack Grealish went up. United couldn't afford it. Donny van de Beek's move to Real Madrid had fallen through, so we went for him. It made sense at the time. I would have loved to have seen him work out, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, does it? So that's the latest at the moment. Harry Maguire, his move to West Ham, seemingly pending right now. Obviously, Dean Henderson's move potentially on hold because of the injury to Tom Heaton. You've then got Fred, who's on his way to Fenerbahce. Eric Bailly, who's seemingly on his way to Besiktas. Donny van de Beek, who could be on his way to Ajax. Those are amongst the players that are being linked with moves. And I saw yesterday, after Anthony Elanga had a great assist for Forest's goal against Arsenal, people kind of just having this mad revisionism. Why did we let him go? It's like, he's behind Garnacho and Rashford in a pecking order. We're going to have this when we see United players leave. Maybe the best thing for them was just to leave. Maybe they are good players, but they're not quite cut out for Man United. And there's no harm in wanting them to do well. I want Donny van de Beek to do well, Elanga, etc., to go on and do well, because they're not bad lads, really. They've just had a bad time of it, or they've not quite fit in at Manchester United. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on everything that we discussed in this video. Is Benjamin Pavard the guy for Manchester United? Get your thoughts in the comments below, as that one seemingly is getting closer, although our first bid was rejected. Get your comments in the comments below. Keep it locked, Stretford Paddock, by subscribing, and I'll see you soon.